Hi, this is Raphael. I'm with my dear friend Alena Chapman, who I owe so much to. And I'm so grateful to know and for all your help and your knowledge. Alena is a mystic and a shaman, and she has, like me, has had very unusual experiences because we don't go through our life with our eyes closed, asleep, with their eyes
Oh,
wide open. I
yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
so, and Eileen, I've been dying to ask you what happened because we talked some months ago about how we both had a habit of not letting people channel us because we both
Yes.
have a lot of friends who are channelers
Stubborn.
and psychics, right? And the reason why I don't like people to channel me is because I don't know who or what they're channeling, but also
Yeah.
it's going through them, the human, and I don't know how their perspective and their vibration are changing what they're channeling. Basically, something gets lost in the translation, right? So, does that
Yeah.
make sense?
Yes, I understand what you're saying. And and just before the show, the way I was channeling, that's one way that it gets changed when I'm receiving the thoughts and then I'm transmuting them through you,
Right.
but I am not opening up the vessel to actually um because that's not who I usually channel. And so I was just hearing their information and telling you. Those were not their words exactly. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yes.
Yeah. And that is now, yeah. Well, before I've always kind of channeled just that way. I started out in, I first time I ever noticed it was when I was in Right Relations, which is if you didn't play nice in court, you would come to our classes. Okay. So you weren't good about the kids, you end up in our wonderful parenting classes. And
Oh,
so there, but it was very spiritual. And I was one of their lead counselors because I don't know, they liked me. But I seemed to get results. And so I would go into a class and I was talking to people that I didn't know. Like I'm talking, well, doctors and lawyers, they were there too, but there's also gang members. I don't know much about gang members. That's not my world. Farmers. I like farmers, but I don't really know them. And manufacturing. I was talking to so many people. Yeah, so many people that I don't know, so I can't really say how I can hit their heart, right? And I had the material and I knew it cold, but when I was speaking, all of a sudden I would get these thoughts in my head and to say this and to say that and to say this. And that's what I started doing. And that's kind of channeling. And I found that it was highly effective. And for years, I've been doing that kind with my clients. I'd be hearing their problems, and then this thought comes into my head, and it's a thought that is not mine. You can tell the difference, and it comes in with this exercise. I give it to them. Oh my gosh, 2 weeks they're over their anchor, right? It's some miraculous stuff. And so now, all right. So then we move fast forward. When did that all change to full? Because I was scared. When you actually say you're going to channel, literally channel, where you shut down a part of yourself almost, and you allow another thing to speak totally through you. So there is no alteration in what is being said. And it changes even, I mean, you've seen me channel, it even changes the tone sometimes. I think I went back and listened. It just it changes. And that I have started doing only, I can't, only because I understand the source that I'm pulling from. And
Mhm.
I'm pulling from the Council of Light. And why do I trust them? I know they are in the light because I have gone journeying as in shamanic journeys. I go journeying all the time, and that's who I talk to. I know exactly who's there. It can give or take. They come in and out depending. And I always know my guide Joan is right there. And as she's right there, she is always protecting me. And so when they said, "Is it all right if we channel?" I still took a couple days to think about it because it is kind of an interesting
And this was
concept.
very recently?
It was, yeah, it's been pretty, well, yeah, this was really recently.
'Cause I
I had,
saw your episode the other day where you're channeling, and I didn't know you did that. It was the first time. And I was listening to you, and it was just this pure, simple wisdom of
thank you.
like the
They are,
people I talk to.
yeah,
Alena, can
they
I
are.
ask you something that I think a lot of people would like to know? Why is it that some of us who have had the awakening, we don't know who we're talking to? I don't know who these people are, except the ones who have been introduced to me, like my, I don't know what to call him, the man who's been with me all my life, this huge warrior guy. And
Ah,
I've been told
that's your
is by
personal
two
guide.
people his name is Rick Doyne, Ray or Rick
Okay,
Doyne. And I've seen
okay,
him when I was a kid, and he saved my life twice. When
okay.
I fell off a cliff and then I had a car accident, and I don't know who these people are.
You know, it's
And
true.
another thing, I walk up to somebody in the store. Um my partner Brenda introduced me to the mayor's daughter, and
Oh,
I'd never met this woman before. And I start babbling about things she does. Oh, you're the one who takes care of the fuzzy little creatures who fly through the air. And she goes, yeah. And she grabbed her phone, started showing me pictures of finger monkeys and
oh,
spider monkeys and hedgehogs that she raises. And
oh, cool.
Brenda looked at me and she goes, how did you know that? And the woman goes, looks at Brenda, says, didn't you tell him? And they both looked at me and she says, no. And they both looked at me and said, I'm sorry, it just went right through me. I said, I don't know. I have no, I hate to say I have no control over it because I don't want to have the need for control. But why
Yeah,
is it that some of us have no idea when it's happening? I think, see, for me, I know
that's
the
how I
answer.
started. That's how I started.
Okay.
Those thoughts that just come right through. And a lot of us who are awakened have that valve or that flap opened, I like to say,
Yeah.
you know, it just so that stuff can come through. We are not,
Apparently.
that glass ceiling is open. Yeah. And it's, and thoughts come through and you say them and then all of a sudden, yeah, people are saying, how do you know that? Or how did you know that person
Or
couldn't,
who
that
have you been talking
I was
to when they
gonna
get
reach
scared
them?
and angry?
Yeah, well, I always trust it because I know my personal guide, but you do too. And your personal guide, Joan, everything is on the spiritual level. You do know that everything.
Yeah.
It's
I
as
mean,
above, so below. It is.
yeah.
It is everything that happens that makes an effect is happening on the spiritual level and then comes down into this
Well,
level.
people
It
don't
is
understand that I like the way my mentor Peter Sage put it, inner rules the outer, not the other way around. They
right.
think that
Inner
the
rules the
outer
outer.
world is controlling. It's not. It's just the opposite. Um,
No. And the inner is the outer, okay? And if that's the truth, and it is, if you are in a low vibration, if you are one who is totally materialistic, is only in the manifesting of
mhm.
something, is only in this world
Okay.
of well, you know, just in this world of complaining, judgment, listening to awful things,
Okay.
then yes, you are going to be in this place of not knowing and not trusting, and you
Mhm.
are going to be having problems. And that is what's going to create your world, right? Because that's where you are. Now, when a person awakens, though, and they start to understand they're dealing from their highest self, their soul, the highest part of their soul. They're starting to awaken to that. And that is where you start to get in with your guides and your power animals and your and spirit animals and your angels and your all the different things that come in to help you that are all of light. And when you're then you know you are drawing from light and takes being a shaman. I know when I enter the light. That's how come I do shamanic journeys, and I take people through the portal to the light so that they can learn. I'm going to sneeze, maybe. Oh,
Hey, everybody. Yeehaw!
wants to sneeze. All
I
right,
love
anyway.
it. The light zoo, spirit animals. It
Yeah.
sounds so fun.
So anyway, So all of, yeah, once you understand and you ask names and you ask who you're talking to and you learn and you form relationships. I know for a fact when I go up and I talk to the different people that have helped me, I work a lot with Archangel Michael. I work a lot with Freya of the Celtic. Uh, she's a goddess from the Celtic religions or belief systems. I work with so many different people. My wonderful Indian running doe, who is always pushing me into the shaman, calling me into the shaman role, which I finally have accepted. But and his beautiful doe that he's always there. All of these light council of light I call upon every day. I talk to every day. And Hecate comes in. She comes in sometimes. She's very helpful. So these are the council of light for me. And but whether you have a council of light, as long as they're council of light, you're getting the purest, truest wisdom because it is of light. It is of source.
Definitely.
God, the
And
great one.
and when it happens to me, it was totally natural. It's not frightening. I don't even think twice of it.
No.
It's just it's part of, mostly it happens, I mean, it almost always happens in the morning when I'm still in theta state.
Yeah.
You know, when
Yeah.
I get up out of bed and I'm walking through the house or whatever, that's usually when it happens, but not always. It depends on what my state is. But some of them are definitely the same. There's this woman that I've been told by one woman who insisted on channeling me. She's told that's Uttara. She's from the something High Council Senate on what's that? People always mentioning this one planet or starts with an A. Do you know what that is?
Oh yes. I don't know if I pronounced it right. Anuaki.
I'm not sure. No, it's something else, but it's something that people use a lot. I'm not very good with names, but it's the
It's
same woman.
ANNU. I'm so bad at pronunciation. I don't know why I shouldn't be. ANNU Anuaki. Anunnaki. Somebody will correct me. Somebody who's been studying all those.
And I
Yeah.
think a lot of people watching this are screaming out the name right now.
Yeah. They're
But
screaming it out. I'd
she
love to
told
say
me,
that
oh,
I
her,
am like, really great with all that. And I do know that they're there. I just don't always bring them up. I know about the Syrian, the Anunnaki, I know them, and the Palladian, right? All of those. And
yeah,
then
that's the two I hear the most is the Palladian and then this other one that starts with an A. The
right.
Palladians and
Yeah.
yeah, it might be different pronounced, but my point is it's the same woman. And one gal psychic told me that's Uthra. And I go, well, you can name her
And
what you want.
she's on a
But then
planet. Right.
Brenda
She's
kept telling me, I mean, Uthra was the woman's name. And she goes, wow,
right.
she's from the High Senate on so and so. But Brenda was telling me afterwards, she goes, Raphael, you've said the name Uthra, but you've spoken to this woman called Uthra several times. I'm like, I have? I wasn't even aware of that. But then I kind of remember it, but I was blocking it or something. And then I talked to Adam Leonard, who channeled me, and he said, and I didn't cue him, and he said, oh, I'm getting her name is Uthira or something. He says, it's
Yeah.
Uthira, very
Yeah.
close. And I go, oh my
Yeah.
gosh, the other
Very
one told me, but Adam, I love him because he says, there's something, he's the one who told me my guy's name was Ray Toyne. Somebody else told me it was Ray, and Ray's my middle
yeah.
name, and they didn't know that. But Adam says there's something lost in the translation. He says, I'm
Yeah.
getting a message. There's something lost in the
There
translation. I'm
is
not
a lot of times
translating
with
it.
people, it is. The thing is, if it's other people from other planets, and we have people that are channeling that, that's awesome too. For me, as a person who is, I channel from who I know and who I know the best and who I trust the wisdom from.
Michael,
Of Michael, Joan, and whoever else comes in, Madeline, and definitely Freya. I love Freya. Odin came in once in a while. you know, a lot of the Celtic, some of the Christian. Michael's definitely, sometimes I get Gabriel or Raphael if I'm talking about healing. Sometimes I get, God, so many different ones, but they're all, like I said, Hecate, they come in, but they're all of light. And those of light I trust. And that's what and sometimes it's my spirit animals. They're in there too, you know. I have the bear, and always Natura. She's a female panther that is always on my council. So all of those, and the thing is, once you're in the light, you are, no matter whether you're an animal, an insect, or a person, you are all knowing what the truth is. You are all in the light. You speak with the wisdom and truth of the light. Yeah. And
So
that I
what
trust.
happened? What happened recently to where it suddenly you, because it blew me away.
I know.
Oh my gosh, Alena's channeling.
I
And you're
know.
just channeling simple, pure wisdom.
I
Like when you
know.
said, a desire, be careful with desire because it creates anxiety. You're putting out this lack and this need and this desire. And I looked into that in myself, what I desire, which is not always the most positive emotion. And when I'm looking at things I don't want to have in my life, or I want them, or gratification things, and I see that it does create anxiety. I go, wow, it
Yes,
really does,
it really
in
does.
my
Yeah.
life.
Nobody talks about that. And yeah.
It was
Um,
such simple
I
wisdom.
just, yes, and it, yeah, it is. Well, it's the light. But started, I've always done channeling. I always used to just do channeling through writing for my email list. And then I started recording. And I was recording their every week they get a channeling. And so I started recording the messages to make it easier. And then I type it out on the email. And I thought to myself, well, if I'm recording, it's just an easy step. And I thought, I think I'm going to try just channeling and see what happens. And I thought, I trust the light. I can do this. And I played with it for quite a while. And I did this holistic fair. That's really what got me going. And I was doing a very shamanic thing. For the holistic fair, I was reading souls. And when I was reading the souls, I would take the person's hand. I would take, are we still on?
Yeah, I was just my device was making noise, and I don't know why because I have it turned off. And but
I
um
don't
I'm sorry.
ask
Go
me.
ahead, please.
I'm
You're
always
talking about
still learning.
shamanic souls.
So I was holding their hands, and they said they felt immediately this tingling up their spines. And then I could connect to their soul, which is very shamanic, very normal for me. But then their soul would start just talking through me, and I allowed it, right? And so they're hearing from their soul, which was really cool. And I found that I could do that for everyone, which was so meaningful and so important for them. And they were for the first time hearing what their higher self was wanting. And it's like eyes open. But the thing that what I found so interesting is that I was starting to allow it to happen. And I thought I should see what the Council of Light would do. And I started playing. It wasn't that it wasn't the trust factor that I was, because I trust the Council of Light. It was keeping the space open. That takes practice. Keeping that open, and that allowing them to speak through you is it takes practice, because you know, we're people, we're our own souls, and a lot of times we want to take over, right? So it's a total allowing, and it is an interesting feeling. I don't always remember what I say. Wasn't that
I
cool?
think about when we teach yoga, if you look at the Indian concepts of yoga, and I'm probably mispronouncing this as I do everything, but the Ayurvedic concept of basically engaging your pineal. Don't I tell people,
Yeah.
please do not leave the body out of the mind, body, spirit experience. Every
Right.
morning, I encourage everybody to do a spinal stretch. Drink a glass of water and do a spinal stretch, and and then do your meditation first thing in the morning while you're still close to theta state. I mean, it takes that practice, but that whole concept of, mind, body, spirit. We all have different approaches
Right.
about, and I'm
We do.
commenting on what you're saying about, staying in state.
Yes. Well, it's different than being in a meditation.
Mhm.
And it's different because you're allowing someone to totally speak through you. It's not just seeing them in, like when I do my journey and I'm talking to Joan, I hear her, I see her, I see the vision, I feel whatever they want me to feel. They or want to elicit from me. I talk to all sorts of beings and things.
And
But
meditation is just a word. That's all it
it's
is.
yeah, but
Mhm.
keeping open for that actual, I I don't know how to describe it. That actual them being you is incredible.
Wouldn't we
It's
call
incredible.
that? I mean, isn't that a state? Isn't the beginning of that is being present? I mean, for
Oh, I
example,
think it feels a heck of a lot more than being present.
well, again, it's just a
It's
term. What does being present mean to me? What
it's
does it
hard
mean,
to
for
put it
example,
into
to Leonard Jacobson, right? I mean,
right.
for example, when I get up in the morning and I'm still in theta state, that's when I do my meditation. I listen to my binaural beats that Peter Sage sent me. Um, maybe some Baroque music if I want
Yeah,
to be creative.
Baroque
But
music.
when these things happen to me, I'm being present in the sense of I'm out of my head. And as our mutual friend Neil Walsh would say, people say to him when he talks about, conversations with God, they say to him, "Are you out of your mind?" He says, "Yep," meaning he's not
Yep, in
not
his head.
thinking. But
Right,
there's
right.
been other times in the middle of the day I've gone down, but I was not thinking. For example, when my friend and my assistant Anna passed in 2017,
Yeah,
I was exhausted for some years of
yep,
taking care of her. She had
right.
dementia, and she had hit her head a
That's
number
hard,
of times,
very
and
hard.
she had seizures, and so I had to be there for her. I was on call 24/7. I quit my job, everything. For 5 years, I cared for her, and there's a method to that. There was a reason for that experience in my life.
Mhm,
And
mhm,
in the middle of
mhm.
the day after she died, I went down to the garden. I told you about this. I went to pick a weed, and I had no will to pick the weed. I was not in my head at all. I was exhausted. I was broken, and that was a
Yeah,
good thing.
yeah,
And I
yeah.
had nothing in my head, and I bent up to leave the weed around my squash plant alone, and I looked up. That's when I saw the energy of everything, including my hands in front of me. I saw the energy of the earth. I saw that the universe was showing me, God, she was showing me that we are all one.
Yeah,
you know, so that's what I mean by being present, is mostly just getting out of our thoughts and
yeah,
establishing a willingness and a connection,
yes.
but not
A
thinking.
willingness and a connection and allowing it to speak through you, basically. That's
And
the
you've
big,
taken it to a step much further than I have. You
well,
you've gone
still,
further
but
down
it's
those.
it's on the same track. It's on the
Mhm.
same track, you know?
I mean, I don't know, and like I said, a lot of people don't. We don't. If I'm honest, I don't know who I'm talking to. I don't know who these people are,
Well, you
and I
should let
noticed,
me
but
take you on a journey. It takes getting to know, and where do you want to choose? I mean, you don't want to channel Joe Schmo, who just passed and didn't go to the light and doesn't know anything, right? Except his life. Or is in that lower level, right? You don't need to do those souls.
hmm,
What you want is of the light. And other people have done other universes. I choose the light, and the light is that's what I know, that's what I feel comfortable with, and that's who I trust. And that comes from me doing these journeys, meeting them, having them help me with different issues or whatever in my life, helping me with my own ascension, right? Then I trust them to be able to be more part of me. And I know who I'm talking to because I have gone there and spoken with them. I have spent many, many hours there. And so I, through many years, I've just been, I've known Joan as my beautiful guide who has been with me forever, just like yours. I've really been conscious of her in
Yes.
2009. And I talked to her all the time,
Really?
all the time.
2009?
2009.
Wow, you continue to just blow me
No,
away.
yeah, 2009. Yeah, 2009.
Because Alena, I remember the day of my adult awakening when I was taught to
Tell
suppress it when
people.
I was a child and punished and called a liar. And I was taught to suppress it and told by a therapist, Raphael, honey, maybe it's better if you just keep it to yourself,
I
okay?
had that
You
too.
know?
Yeah, I was
But
young.
in 2009, on October 19th at 4:24 p.m., I remember that moment very well, was the day of
Yeah.
my awakening. I lost everything. I lost my newspaper. I was
Oh
driving and
God.
I picked up some newspaper boxes in a neighboring town and saying goodbye to some customers. I just lost about $56,000, had to pay off the lawyer. And I was driving back and I'm leaning over my steering wheel. It's in my book. And that was on 2009. That's when it started. And I was leaning over my steering wheel going, I'm done with corporate patriarchal bullshit. I'm through. Shit, there's got to be more to life than chasing money. There's got to be more out there. And I'm looking. And that's when I saw it. I saw this. I'm not going to get into it, but that's when this light
No.
came up to me. And it
Right.
wasn't God, it wasn't spirit, it was just a ship.
Yeah.
But it was a beginning of a series of many, the universe showing me many things. And
Right.
later on, I asked Uthra, who's always right there, she's there right now. I asked her, this woman, I asked her, why are you doing this to me? Why are you showing me these things? Why are you visiting me? Why are you giving messages? Why do UFOs come right up to me, many different species? Why? Why do you do this? I don't know what you want me to do. I don't know what I'm supposed to do with this. Why are you doing this? Why? And I'm yelling now, why are you doing this to Uthra? And she yells back at me, because you keep asking. I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
oh, am I? What am I asking? I'm asking if there's more, I guess. I guess I always have.
Maybe since she is so accessible to you and has offered herself to you, maybe in a meditation, you should start asking her who she is and her experiences and where is she from. And then that will help you build. It's really funny because I never understood the concept until I started teaching. Like I connect people with their guide all the time. All the time. That's one of the first things I do because they help you on your journey of healing, help you on your journey of ascension, help you on your journey of anything, right?
Oh, I want you to
So,
talk to somebody for me.
well, I want you to talk to her. But the thing is, I'm always amazed how many do not continue the relationship. And I'm always amazed how many go to this guide who has so much wisdom and knowledge and ask him all about me, all about me, all about me. And of course, we want that. But it's so much more fun for us to open up and build a relationship asking, how do you know me? And who are you? And cool things like that. Learn. It got where I always met Joan by a waterfall, and on bad days I would just jump in and say, I'm just going to sit in this water, and she would always come join me, and we'd have a conversation. And this is in the light, right? And we would talk about all sorts of things. I learned from her who she is and her when she has her life and why has she chosen to be with me. And I mean, that's what builds the trust. That's what builds a relationship versus
There's
just an
something,
information
may I
gathering.
point this out? And I really like your perspective on this. When she yelled that at me, I connected with them, and they were more than her. and I saw who they were. They are us and we are them was the message I got. I mean, that's the impression. They weren't gods.
No,
They are our higher selves. Like
right.
does that what is your
Yeah.
perspective on that? And the
Yeah,
way they
no,
came
they
up
are
to me was
not.
just like regular people.
We are, well, they're all, well, they don't always have sexes in the light. You know, we use that to give ourselves a guideline, but
Right.
they don't. Once you're in the light, there is none. And if they are from the light, are uh
I'm
they
sorry,
are like us, but
are you
they're
talking
the
about
higher
gender?
self of us. They're the higher
Are you
self of,
referring to gender?
yes. Yeah,
Okay.
they're not gendered. So they are of the light, so they speak of the light.
Yeah,
And
that
what
has
we
to be
don't
true. Yeah.
understand, and that's the thing we don't understand, we have to I always refer back to Meister Eckhart, who was a mystic in about the 11th, 12th, well, I think the 12th century, around there, 12th, 13th. And he said a quote of, the soul can become God, but God cannot become the soul. Now, I contemplated that for so long. And I finally went to my council of light about it, but I like to try to figure
Well,
things
yeah.
out first. And it is. And then when I took my brother into the light and I took him to the final destination of his incredible highest self, which is source,
Mhm.
okay? That's where I saw it. And that's where I saw what Meister Eckhart was talking about. And it's like I saw this incredible big giant cloud, the most beautiful. It kind of looked like a cloud. I'm defining it as a cloud. But then it broke apart into millions and millions of souls.
Oh,
And that is where the soul becomes God, but God does not become the soul. The soul is that part that comes down and experiences. It's that part that says we have to learn the experience. We have to learn that opposite feeling. We are the ones that are learning and experiencing. But what we don't understand, when we elevate, when we learn the highest lesson of anything we're going through, that's when the whole universe, because we join back with source, we become part of God. That's when everything elevates even higher, a higher frequency. It's really incredible. And that's why it's so important for us to start learning the higher lessons of what we're going through. The
yes.
spiritual lesson, not just, oh, I'll
Yeah.
never date that kind anymore. You got to
And
go a
that
little
was
bit
my
deeper.
impression that they are us and we are them. And
Well, of course we are. I mean,
and
right.
I told you about how that woman appeared to me in my yoga room when Anna was dying, a couple years before she died, actually. And I got out of bed, my feet hit the floor, and there's this woman standing in front of me, and it was, I think it was Uthira, or whoever. It was it's saying, I'm saying that because her energy I recognized. It
Right,
was her.
right,
It was the woman I've
right,
seen since I was a little boy. When I
right.
fell and I cracked my skull right here on, I fell off a fence and I hit an old toilet in the bushes and I cracked my skull right here,
Yeah,
exactly where they drill in India, and I was at the hospital. I was unconscious. My brother, one of my brothers had picked me up and they took me to the hospital and they stitched me up. And there's this woman leaning over me. I thought it was my aunt, but it was her because I recognized her later. And she's saying, and she was saying, "It's okay, honey. Everything's going to be all right. It's okay." And then later, when I was being punished in the corner, and I was so hurt and angry at my family for not believing me and for calling me a liar, and that I see people in the trees who
yeah,
are talking to me and her. And I was so hurt. I wanted to run away. And I was sitting in the corner where I was told to sit for an hour. And she appeared to me and she says, "It's okay, honey. Don't blame them. They don't understand. It's okay. Don't blame them."
right,
You know,
right.
like, you don't know who this woman is. But when she appeared to me, she was like she was reading, like she was doing the rounds. She was like reading from a script or something.
And
And
they,
she said, it's
well,
time
she's
for you
reading
to
some,
rewrite your life.
you
What
need to
I'm
ask
saying is
her.
they're just like us. They're our higher selves, you know?
Well, we, yeah, joined, we are all one, you know, but they come to help us, and they are from the light. And yes, of course, if you're in your highest self, then you are with her and she is with you. But for right now, you are down here experiencing. And what we
Mhm.
have to remember is that we are spirit within. You know,
Right.
we are spirit. And the more we open up to our highest self, we are just like them. We have the same wisdom sometimes. We can get, we still have our own flaws, because we suffer with the emotions, and we suffer with challenges, and we suffer with different things that we're supposed to learn. But my God, it's so much easier, because now you have your higher self. And yes, they are all the highest selves. So they are all one. So they speak
Mm.
with one voice. So yes, they are us and we are them. Yeah.
And it was interesting. I was talking to my friend Adam Leonard, who's been a British TV psychic since he was a very young man. And I love Adam. I worked with him. He was my partner in the Peter Sage's EMF program. And Adam says to me, he goes, I'm getting a message. And when he said it, it's like I could hear it. I could hear Roy Toyne talking to me. And he said, you think that we've abandoned you? And I'm thinking, yes, I did. In 2019, it stopped. And I went on my training, spending all the thousands of dollars I had left, whatever was left, I spent on training with all these different groups,
You did.
trying to learn how I can be of service to humanity by
Yeah.
working with Peter Sage and Alena Chapman and I mean, all kinds of people, whatever. But
But thank you.
I mean, all kinds of groups. And that's when I met you when I did the summit about 3 years ago or whatever.
Yeah.
But he was saying, we never left you. We're
No,
always here.
they're always there.
And I was
Yes.
like, and I want to point out something to everybody, and something you had alluded to earlier is it's very important to, as Tony Robbins or Peter Sage would say, which Peter was one of his top trainers for 15
Mhm.
years, is to get in state. But it's also very easy to get right out of state. It's probably easier to get out of state than it is into state. And I know
Yeah.
because from 2009 to 2019, I was pretty much in state. I was training with the Koreans. I became a yoga instructor. I became a
Right.
Qigong energy instructor, and I was very
Mm-hmm.
good at what I
Mm-hmm.
did.
Love that.
I was seeing things that most of the Koreans I was working with, when I said, what does it mean? These spirits coming to me and other things. And they said to me, that is not my experience. And that, which is the best thing they could have
Right.
said. But
That
I
is
know what
nice.
it is now. It was the universe was showing me because I was asking for more, and they were showing me everything, plethora
Right.
of things. But
Right.
it's so easy to get out of state, right?
Yes.
And I want
Yes.
to, I mean, I'm living proof of that. And I want to point out to everybody that every second, the second right now, looking and talking with Alena Chapman, this second right now, is here to serve us. Everything is
Yeah.
to serve
Yeah.
us.
Yeah.
We think
You
bad
know,
things happen. That's victim mode.
there's so, oh my gosh, yeah, you do not want to be in victim mode. You don't
No,
understand how much that hurts you.
traps.
I mean, okay, to heal, and I should let, um, they'll speak to you on that. They want to speak to, is that all right?
Yes,
May I
please.
let
This
them?
is huge, especially to a lot of women out there who are putting themselves out incorrectly. This is huge.
Okay, just a minute then, because they want to speak, so. Hello, beautiful souls. Victimhood. We really wanted to talk to you about this. Victimhood is a good thing and not a good thing. It is not where you're meant to stay. It is part of the healing process. It is where you find that you are relieving yourself of the responsibility of what has happened to you, which is a good thing most of the time, because a lot of times you were a victim of something, especially women, because your culture does not value you for the spirit that you are and wants power over you because they think you are weaker, which is so silly. So silly. But the victimhood is not meant to stay in. This also goes for people who are suffering from alcoholism or any of the devices that your body uses to escape. You are not an alcoholic. You are not a victim. It is only a stepping stone to saying, all right, I need to heal. And then the next step is to move into anger, and justly so, because anger is something that is fire within you. And the fire within you has to be. But do you strike out in violence against and cause more harm? Or do you find a way to exercise out that fire in a way that is beneficial to your healing and the healing of others? That is the biggest challenge. And the best creativity can come from that fire. The best of love can also come from that fire if you direct it correctly. And depending on how you choose to go through that journey of anger determines how you heal and what you learn from the experience. And what we want you to learn is the highest lesson, because that is why you are here. That is why you went through the challenge. And if you learn that highest lesson, that is what your soul connects with. And your soul is what is trying to get you to learn the lesson to begin with. It is why you are here, right? So
May I
learning that
ask,
highest, yes.
may I ask, is anger related to fear? How is it related? Or are you talking about a different kind of anger?
Oh, very good question. Anger can be in fear. It can. A lot of anger we see is in fear. But we have seen over and over and over that if people go from the victim into just healing, it doesn't seem to work. There has to be in your emotional structure a time when you say enough. There has to be a time in your life you say, I didn't deserve this. It is a freedom. It is a release of taking, I didn't need this. I am never going to have this happen again. I am free of this now. And it needs to be in the healing process. It is not based on fear. It is totally a release. It is different. And fear, yes, I so often we hear everyone take something and then make it absolute for everything. Nothing is ever an absolute. Nothing is always the same. This is the perfect example. Fear in healing is a release, while fear of doing something new in your life, or fear of a bear running after you, or fear of whatever you are afraid of, can be limiting and is based causing anger, but the anger is in fear. Fear of the fire losing control, fear of the bear running after you and you don't know what to do, fear of going for your goals but you don't because you're too scared to, then you get angry at yourself. That is a different kind of fear. That's a limiting kind of fear. It is not a release.
Fear of not being in control
And
is one of the most dangerous angers I've seen. Yeah, men get angry because they're afraid of losing some form of control,
yes,
some form of
yes,
security.
yes. Fear from the ego is very much something that your culture has cultivated. Yes, because there are so many that deal with ego, and ego is what wants control. Because if you let go of that, you don't have the anger, right? If you
Mhm.
don't, and that's all ego, that there is no control. There is no control. That is why they cannot grasp it. And that's why there is fear, because they have this desire to be in a controlling position because the ego demands it and they can't have it. So they're in this constant fight with themselves and they take it out on everyone. And that's what you are seeing very much today in your society and in the world. Fear, fear and wanting control. Simple as that.
Where
We
are we
see it.
going? Where are we going now? Where are we going with this? How do we teach people not to be afraid, but to look at the spiritual path that we can take, the aware path? How can we do that?
We get asked this many times. Um, yes, and it is a very important time right now. You do understand we're in a new dimension, correct?
I don't fully I feel it, I know it, I see it happening, but I don't fully understand
The
what
new
it means.
dimension is like a river. That's the best way we can think. And in this river, it has gone more, it's got more water, it's going faster. And those that are choosing to let go and float with it are the ones that are free. The ones that are holding on to the life, the drama, the wanting, the constant fighting, the constant fear, and they're grabbing at the shorelines, they will have a very rough ride. They are not with the new dimension. There is a going to be, and is starting actually now, where the people who are ascending are flowing. Those that are not are grabbing the shoreline and having a hard time. Your timeline has sped up. Many of you right now are going through challenges. Now, we will tell you something very important. It is how you deal with these challenges right now in your life that will define, are you flowing with the river or are you holding on? It is a defining moment for all of you. And if you take a look, it has been a very interesting 2 weeks, hasn't it?
Yes, big time.
Many people are seeing complete disaster in what they thought was their security. They're seeing complete disaster in what they thought were good relationships. It is all happening for you to begin to let go. And do not worry, you are not entering a world of coldness, and you are not entering a world of harshness if you let go. You will still have challenges, but you will learn this incredible lesson that you're learning this week. Any challenge that comes from here on in, you will know how to deal with it. You will understand that it's really not that important. And you will let go. That is the whole purpose.
W- Won't
Why?
there always be the dark and the light? won't there always be people who don't choose to go into the light? I mean, isn't that the nature of our planet here?
Your planet is our greatest part of the universe, because this is the place where you learn. You learn the opposites, you learn the lessons. All of that is so important to the soul. It is so important to the whole universe. And do you realize that this is the only place where you are born with total beginning? You forget everything.
Mm-hmm.
There is no other universe that does this. This universe will always have dark and light because of this reason. It is a place for you to ascend. It is a place for you to learn the opposites. So there has to be opposites, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So you will always have dark and light. But if you ask Alena, she will tell you, even in the spiritual world, there is no hell per se, as you have personified in so many ways in your society. But there is a place where souls get lost.
Mm-hmm.
And there is a place that these souls still believe that they are on this planet. They still believe that they have to hold on, or that they have to fix something, or that they have to fight a fight, or they get lost. So you still have a separation. And then you have those that go to the light, where they feel free, where they feel love, and they understand the unconditional love. And they have happiness and joy. So there is still that opposite. It is not hell and heaven. It is just light and dark.
So when I was shown the dark and the light, when I got up one morning and I was walking across the floor, it was the morning after Anna passed. She showed me the dark, and I was afraid to go near it. It was equally as powerful as the light, but the light was totally different. I went into it, and it was just source. It was energy, and I had to go into it. It didn't come to me, and it was just energy.
It's
I
energy. Everything is energy. Everything is energy.
Mhm.
Source is energy.
Why did you show me that? Was it? And I chose to go into the light because I was afraid of the dark. What is the message
You
for
were
me?
afraid of the dark, but she was showing you sides that you were trying to deal with within yourself. And what she was saying is, yes, you have those dark sides, but you have to choose the light. Choose the light. You don't have to lay in that darkness here, nor in the afterlife. It is a vibration, it is an energy. You do not have to lay in that darkness here nor there, inner or outer.
Why don't people choose the light? It was natural for me to go into the light. Why would why do people choose the darkness? Because they're being misled. They're being misled.
Many, when they are born and they come into this earth, they see so much darkness and they get comfortable with it.
Mm.
Instead of saying, like you did, I'll choose the light. Many would have chosen the darkness. We see it all the time. They forget and they don't trust the light. So when they are born and they do not know they are from the light, they enter into this life and they are shown darkness, darkness, darkness. And they think that is where they deserve to live. And that is all there is to living. It is very hard to leave that comfort zone of darkness and all of a sudden change everything about your thinking, everything about what brings you joy, everything. It's changing everything you've learned in order to join the light.
How can we help people see the beauty? I see the earth, I see pure beauty, and
Yeah.
other people don't see that. They see the struggle, they see the darkness. And
Yes.
how do we help people to see the light? We have to see the darkness. We have to experience to know the light, I
Yes.
feel.
Yes.
But how do we help people?
Yes. 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 You help those that want to be helped. There are plenty out there. There are so many right now who are saying, I want better. I want to feel better. I do not want to suffer anymore. There has to be something better. And they are feeling this rush of time. Those are the people you can help because they are ready. The others, they need more time. They need more time.
Mhm. And isn't it important for people to know, especially women, that they can make that choice? And the outer, the spirit world can put, they don't have to put themselves to the darkness. They don't have to stay there. They don't have to suffer. They don't have to be victims. They can learn the lesson and make a choice to move on.
Yes. They all know this. They have a lot of pressure to stay in the victim role. That is why we took the time to explain the healing process. But you do have a lot of organizations in all their goodness, in all that they want to do to help victims. They sometimes keep people as a victim, and that's not what is needed right now. However, you do seem to have a lot of that on your planet.
Yes,
Mm,
we do.
yes, yes. Can we help you with anything else?
Oh yes, I'm sure you can help me in the future by asking the right questions. It's something I need to learn to do. I just I would like to learn how to help people, teach people to stay in the light. Because when I teach people to stay in the light, I have been taught by my mentors, it helps me to stay in the light. And if I'm not in the light, I can't help anybody. Then I
Right,
become ego. And so thank
right,
you. Thank you.
right. It is. And you will gain what you need to succeed. You will. You've got to allow yourself, my dear one. Raphael, you have to be okay with the fun. You have to create the fun in life. And you do celebrate many things, but you don't always have fun. And that fun is where you are going to find your motivation in your own business. And that's what you have to create. It is not there. You have to create the fun in your business. Do you understand?
I've been getting that message today from other sources.
Yeah.
And
It
I guess it's something I need to understand. I mean,
if it's
I
not
have,
fun, why do it?
right?
You can help people many ways, right?
Hmm.
You do every day. We know. We see you. You help people every day. So
I think people get
it's a
confused.
mindset.
I think people get confused about how to do something. Is it making a choice, make a decision? It's and how to integrate. I see the green trees and the blue skies and the grass and the white clouds, and I see so much beauty, and people don't see that. And I want to work with people, but my own darkness holds me back. my own darkness puts
Fear.
me in my ego, and I end up making myself a victim.
Yeah.
How do we not make ourselves a victim?
Do not make yourself a victim. You have to remember that you are here to experience. You can't take it all so seriously. If
Hmm.
you want people to see that beautiful tree, well, then show them the beautiful tree. Talk about what you see. Ask them, do you see this or not? If you don't, why don't you?
Thank you.
Ask them. Take the things you know and you love. That will give you the fun. You can build on that. Correct?
Yes. I
Yes.
know that's true. That's the other
Yes.
message I've been getting is to ask questions and share, create.
And fun and celebrate.
Hmm.
You have the magic. Share it.
Hmm.
Share the actual magic, not the made up stuff you think you need to teach. Do you understand?
All of us. Yes. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Good.
Thank you.
Good. Good.
Thank you. Yes.
We will bring Alena back now. Is that fine? Thank you. Hi.
Where
I
did you go?
oh,
We were having a conversation.
I bet you were. I don't remember it all, but I do remember some. Yeah, yeah.
I think there's such a strong message there to everybody. It's not about me sitting here talking to Alena, who's channeling, and they're talking to me and they're answering my questions. The message here is for everybody. Life is so simple and it's so
It is.
beautiful.
Yeah,
I talked to my neighbor down the road who moved in here, and they say, well, and they refer to themselves as being out here in the middle of nowhere. And I told them, you are on top of the earth wherever you are.
that's right.
I look,
Yeah,
and oh my
yeah.
gosh, I look out my window. I see a full, beautiful mountain range. I've
You
got a
are
beautiful
everywhere.
lake across the
Yeah,
highway beyond the horse fields. I have this incredible view. And
yeah,
Alena, people tell me I don't have that option. I'm living in a apartment in Illinois or New York
yeah,
City. And I go, well, that's
yeah.
your choice. That's your
It is.
choice.
It is a choice. And they don't even understand that. So it's asking them, a lot of times if I have a client like that and I say, well, where do you want to live? And what is keeping you?
Yeah.
you know it is very interesting, and you were saying the fun and the things that we know. Spirit had that, yeah, the council had a talk with me on that too this morning, so it's so funny that they channeled it to you. But yes, it's taking, and that's what I was trying to tell you, it's taking the fun of your life and sharing it, and it is really because that's what you love, and that's what is fun, and sharing it to help others, and then teaching the moment if you so want. Show more by what I understood when they told me. I'm not sure what they told you totally, but for me, what I got from it was that to share through example more than just spewing things at everybody.
Right. Mm,
Yeah.
yeah.
Hmm. And you've got a whole thing to share.
I was getting this message this morning from my friend who's staying with us while she's doing a life change as she always does. And she was telling me that, Raphael, you have your orchard, you have your horse rescue, you have your greenhouse that you built, you have your RV spots in your little cabin that you built because you love
Yeah.
community.
Yeah.
And
Gives
you
you a
have your
lot more fun.
garden, and you have your worm farm that we
Yeah.
saved from a friend of ours that was killed, and we rescued all her 28 animals and discovered she had a worm farm. And so we brought that here. And she goes, Raphael, you love nature. You love being outside.
Yeah.
Maybe it's not you got to find a way to integrate that into your coaching practice, because
Yes.
without it, you're not happy. And
Right.
she's right. And she was saying, why don't you bring your computer down to your orchard and do a podcast there? I'm like, yeah, I've done that.
Why
I love
not?
that. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Why
Those are
not?
little interceptions from spirit telling you, and that's what exactly what they do for me. And I'll tell you, it is yeah, with me it's creating. And every time I create, I'm just the happiest soul in the whole wide world, right?
Oh gosh,
So
yes.
I show people the creations and talk. And that is just who I am. When I'm creating something, I'm in my glory, whether that's planting a plant or doing a landscape or doing pottery or creating a store. That's where I'm the happiest. So
And
that's why I all of a sudden thought, well, then I need to share this. Why do I not have limitation? Why do I feel this wonderful spirit all the time? Right?
I'm hearing people talk about, because I deal with a lot of entrepreneurs and I'm in entrepreneurship groups. I'm
Yeah.
working with Stacy Brass Russell in New York right now, who helps entrepreneurs and coaches really. But a lot
Right.
of people are afraid of starting a business because they're afraid of competition. They're saying big business is putting little business out.
Well, then
And
don't
I
be
tell them the
competition.
concept of creation, not competition. Don't worry
Yeah.
about what other people, and don't even try to compete. Just
No,
create.
you if you that's what's so great with connecting with spirit, because when you're with spirit, it's not like you get a heads up, but you are non-inhibited by competition. There is no one who can compete with you. You're spirit. You have your own unique thing. You when I create the store, it's going to be a totally different store than the two stores down the street.
Huh.
It's going to be just total, because I am not them and I don't have their limitations nor their creativity. I have mine. And so that's what I'm going to create. And if it's successful, wonderful. If it's not, I'll morph it into something else. It's a
Mhm.
constant creation. That's what life is about, right? And
Yeah.
that's what spirit would tell
Mm.
you. I know it because they've told me it 1,000 times. But that's why I'm always creating. I just planted all these um, lilacs and things out front. And do you know what? Yeah, something ate them or it came up. Did that stop me? Did I say, oh, can't plant anything? Oh gosh, can't do that. No, I'm planting things now that things don't like to eat, right? And that makes me happy.
Oh,
You go with it. You don't have to fear anything. Life is supposed to change constantly, right? So go with it. That is flowing down the river that they were talking about.
yeah, and it
That's
pays
flowing.
to be smart as a business. As a former business analyst, my job was to go in, interview the company, look at their, do a 4-year analysis of their records
Oh
and see
boy.
where they're making money and see where they're losing money, right? I mean, and
Yeah.
then my job was to tell them that they're the problem because they're a manager of the business and they're the only
Yeah.
ones
And
responsible.
then
And
I would have sent you to my partner.
well, and then we bring in the consultants. That was my job, tell them they're the
Yeah,
problem.
yeah. Oh
My
yeah,
company
she
might not
listened
touch them
to
with a
you.
10-foot pole, whatever.
That's great.
George A. May and the others. But there's something else to that is don't just if you just worry about where you're making money and where you're
Oh
not. And I was
God.
just talking to a gentleman who bought a local store, and I was talking to them, and he was talking to me because he knew I was a business analyst before, and he was saying he was shutting down the hardware store because it was not make it's been losing money over the years. I said, yeah, that's smart, but it's not just about making money. You're providing a
No.
service, but don't continue to buy products that aren't moving.
Yeah.
You can
You
stick with
got
what's
you
making
you
money,
it's
but
a
don't
game.
lose the fun in it.
But if you don't, if you allow your whole business, and even in the business I have now as a shaman, if I was just thinking when I went to do the holistic fair, I wasn't thinking what's going to make money. I
Exactly.
thought, what can I offer these people? That's where it starts. And the
Mhm.
first day, because I'm new here, I didn't even charge, which was a mistake. I should have charged, but I didn't. And but I got this incredible reputation And I mean, people think they just think I'm extremely gifted. Well, I'm a shaman, of course
And
but
service
anyway,
oriented.
and then I started charging, and then but this is the thing. From that, I've been meeting with people for coffee. I'm finding out where they're at. Now they're joining programs that I have and they're learning. So, but if I went in there going, well, how can I make money? Well, then I'd sell a little trinket like everybody else did. And then I'd never connect with that person again. Right.
Mhm.
So do you see the difference in that?
Well, yeah, that's my
That's
point
big.
though, is you got to be smart about your business and don't keep making the same mistake and throwing money away,
Yeah,
wasting on
but
what's not selling. But if you
but
focus just on
don't
making money, you're going to waste your life.
you don't
You're
have
going
the
to, it's not why
creativity.
you started.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you
to
lose
keep
the
creating, be
creativity.
yourself. And I
You've
see
got to do,
people
yeah,
lose businesses, which they started out of love because they're too focused on making money and they're not focused on connecting and being
yeah.
creative and
You see
changing,
that everywhere.
changing.
Yeah, and changing. But I
Like you
mean,
said, morphing.
people are doing like, look at the businesses. Look at the businesses that suddenly, all of a sudden, we're doing great, and then they think, oh, we got to make more money, so we're going to cheapen the cheese on the pizza.
Right.
We're not going to put real meat in here or something. Do you see? That's money decisions, and then all of a sudden, and they're going cheap. We got to make more money, more money, more money, and as soon as they get on that track, everything goes down.
Yeah,
Just
that's the corporate world. See, when we were young, forgive me, my dear younger than me, Alena, when we were kids, the
yeah,
big thing about businesses was who made the best product.
right,
That's gone. Now
yeah,
it's all about, I mean, in the corporations, it's all about who's making the most profit,
right,
you know, and so
yeah.
they're making things cheaper and cheaper. My message to the world is do not buy a new Ford. I'm sorry, I had to put that in. I bought a new Ford. It's sitting in the shop right now. It's been
Go
in there
for
for
it.
3 weeks. It's the fifth time it's been in the shop, you know.
A
Why?
new
Because they
Ford.
make things cheaper and cheaper and cheaper. Our
Yeah,
brand new Ford.
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
sorry. It's
yeah,
happening all over.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
yeah.
If you open a business, do not be worried about competition. Use your creativity,
Yes.
because only it's your creativity, nobody else's. And that's what makes it different. Yeah.
Thank you for pulling
And
me out of victim
whatever
mode
else
right
they
there.
said, follow it because they are of the light. You heard from the purest source. Yes.
And that is our job. Is for me to stay out of victim and stay out of complaining, stay out of ego, stay out of trying to control, stay out of feeling disrespected, all that, and stay in the light because that's where the power is. I was Something happened a year ago that just, wow, I've never seen anybody do this. Brenda walked over to the sliding glass door I had put in
Mhm.
and built a deck. And she looked out and she saw our rescue horses down there. And she looked out over the field. She had just come from work. I can't believe what words came out of her mouth. She said, I love my life. I love my home. I've never heard anybody say that. And it was so beautiful. And I go out and I help people all the time. Single mothers, off grid, old seniors, I shouldn't say old,
No,
like some of my yoga students, whatever, off grid, women, people on the side of the road, old people broken down. I help people all the time. And because I want to, because I'm greedy and it makes me feel good, because it's my job, because that's
yeah,
what I'm here for, is to help people. And I listen to them and I see how they're living and I listen to their stories and I see why they're living. And I am so grateful for the
yeah,
beauty I live in. I'm so grateful for my life. And I'm not bragging. I'm just saying I chose this. I chose this life.
right,
And
right.
and it's so beautiful. Sometimes I go to the gym and I'm angry because there's going to be people on their cell phone. And what do I see? People on their cell phone. Sometimes I go to the gym. I'm happy because I'm going to see people who are trying to better themselves. What do I
Yeah,
see? I see people trying to better themselves, So
yeah,
I'm learning to police my thoughts and get out there. And we started this podcast because Alena, when I finally figured out what time it is, it's 5 o'clock in Pacific right now. But
Yeah.
because I was so astonished to see you channeling when we both said we didn't do that before,
Yeah.
even
I
though
did
you've
not
alluded
deceive
to it in
you,
certain senses. And this to me is just a heads up that things are moving faster.
They're moving
I'm
very fast.
talking to friends around the world. Some months ago, you were talking about you were heading the different way on the freeway, and how the heck did that happen? At the same
Yes.
time that was happening to you,
Yeah.
it was happening to a lot of people who are awakening. I
Yeah.
came into town and I saw a business on the side of the road, a big corporate business that wasn't there the day before,
Yeah.
and it wasn't there the next day. But it
Yeah.
was, then they were building it back in the industrial park. And I'm like, and then the same thing happened to Adam Leonard. He he walks down the same 2 blocks to the beach where he hops in the water every morning and the South Shore of the UK. And he said he saw shops. He says he's never seen them before. How could he have never seen these shops? Timeline is changing.
Yeah.
It's
Timeline.
like,
Well, the
oh,
timelines are actually speeding up.
yeah.
And this was happening even before I started and also the veils between different realities are just really thin. And so, and you do know that, souls, we're living so many lives at the same time. We're in different realities. You're not, if you want to see your future self, well, then you do go forward. But if you want to see yourself doing something different in your life, you're actually jumping into a different reality,
I've
right?
seen very strong
Yeah.
evidence of that and
And
have been totally
they're very
confused by it.
close.
Yeah.
And also that timeline, it's just, yeah, right now it is so good for us to just go with the flow and to understand that we are moving faster and faster. And it is good because things can come into creation faster and they can also fall faster. But it's accepting it for what it is. I mean, if
I'm
we all
seeing that.
just knew that we're here for experiences and not to be that,
Yes.
I don't know, it depends what you're here to experience. And so we're building those experiences according to that. Some people were meant to experience total
Yes.
whatever, the Elon Musks of the world and everything. They were supposed to experience something, but we are supposed to experience something else that could be just as great. But we have
Uh,
to, yes.
Uta, she told me that. She said, stop judging your experience.
Yes, stop judging it and just start living it. What a
Mhm.
concept, right? And just go with the
Yes.
flow. It's so much more fun. And it doesn't mean that you don't deal with your problems, but when you say you're going to go with the flow, you actually you 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 find a way that appeases everyone, including yourself. You find a way through it without getting bogged down with it.
You mentioned along those lines, you mentioned in the past 2 weeks have been wow. I mean, especially this week. It's
Yeah.
so many
Yeah.
things were happening. So many
Well, they happened to me
super,
too.
so
Yeah.
many incredible things were happening and on different dimensions. And we
Yeah.
talked about that before we started the
Yeah.
recording this podcast,
And it's
about my
really,
neighbors were coming forth and admitting to me things that they were afraid to tell me that were happening because we live by portal. This is the highest abductee reported in the world. This
yeah.
is called UFO Ridge for 2 centuries for a very good reason. But a lot of things are happening faster and faster. And I'm glad that you pointed that out to me because now I understand, which brings us to a very important point here, I feel, is that it's
Okay.
more important now for us to be in state, to
Yeah.
have regular practices. I get up in the morning, I drink my glass of water. Me and Brenda do a very important spinal stretch. Everybody needs to do a spinal stretch.
Yeah.
Okay, I got to do it. I got to do a video and put it on Facebook about how to do a spinal stretch. I am a
Yes.
yoga instructor,
Yes.
how to do a 2 minute spinal stretch in the morning, and then do your meditation, please, in the morning, in the evening, several times a day. If you want to manifest, do a manifestation meditation, but keep
Right.
in state. Breathe, breathe. And there's that
Yes.
beautiful song that my one of my yoga instructors from
Yeah.
Korea loved. It goes, "Don't hold your breath,
No,
breathe
and we
out."
do. And breathe
Yeah,
in, you know? It's so funny. I thought about the morning. I don't even get out of bed at first. I let the dogs out because they always want to go out earlier than I want to get up. Then I go back and I say to Joan and the light, I say, please let me have my sweet sleep. Because in that little period, it's sort of like a theta and it's up into, it's just a beautiful sleep. And when you wake up, it's
it's
like,
beautiful.
and then I do my breathing very deep down in the abdomen, and then I
Right.
open my eyes, and then I do my little stretches right in bed, and then I stand up and touch the top of my bed, and then I do my qigong after I feed the dogs and everything,
Okay.
and have my favorite coffee. And as I have my coffee, which is not really coffee, it's chai tea, I walk out and I greet the world, all my trees and all my plants and
Mm.
all the things of the world, all the little things that I see, the fairies and the wood nymphs. I all say hello to everyone. Yeah, that's how
I
I
get
do
up.
my morning.
Well, thank you for that. I get up in the morning, I walk outside, and I mean, anytime during the day. Right now, I'm looking at just hundreds of trees out here. They
Yeah,
call them juniper bushes, but there's other trees that we planted. Then we have the orchard, which is very
yeah.
unusual in northern Arizona. I don't know anybody else that has an orchard in this
No,
county.
I bet not, because
But
it's dead,
I look at
right?
every single tree, and you know what I see? I see a friend. I see a
Yeah,
beautiful
yeah,
soul waving at me. And
yeah,
people, please start looking at trees, start looking at the plants, and see
yeah.
a piece of God
Start your
there.
day off right, it's so important, because without that, my day's off centered, right?
Mm.
Yeah. And that's what starts it off right, in the right vein, in the right vibration, in the right place that you want to live your life with the ease and flow, right? So that's how you want to start your day. And then you'll be amazed how it all changes. That it's so easy to change your life if you develop the habits that create the flow. That's what you're doing. And then just do it.
Amazed, but never surprised.
Right.
Always amazed. Amazing, but I'm not surprised anymore because I'm well aware that anything is possible.
Of
I've
course.
seen so many I should say the universe, um, the Council of Light,
Yeah.
our overseers, our higher selves have shown me so many things because I asked that I'm
Right.
not surprised at anything.
Right. No.
And I want people to know that they're more beautiful and more powerful than they may have ever imagined.
And they're
And
right here.
and all you need to do is open your eyes and see. You know what really hurts me, Alena? What really it gets me is when I've seen so many women in my life who think they're not beautiful. Oh, I don't want to do a video because,
Oh,
I just, I don't look
that's
right.
because they've
And
been told that. That's because
I
they've been told.
guess, and it's
Yeah,
a
and it's
personal
very
thing.
sad. It's very sad. They don't understand. And it's that's a form of ego also. And it's a damaged ego. But it's yeah, it's getting past that, knowing that your spirit first. And then
And letting go
you just let it go. It's the spirit within
and
you
let
that
your
makes you
beauty shine
beautiful.
through.
It's not your hair or your eyes, it's the spirit, right? It's the spirit. Always the spirit.
I
Yeah.
can get on a video and be in victim mode, and I can be a pretty ugly guy, you know. But if I let go of myself, Joe Dispenza talks about that, right? He talks a lot about just letting go
Yep.
of your sense of identity and being basically
Yes.
being a nobody and just experiencing
Yeah.
and being creative.
Yeah.
And then that's when people like you, Alena, get so beautiful
Oh,
and
thank
pick a
you.
beautiful tree. And
Yeah.
when because you're so creative and you're always smiling.
Yeah.
It's
Well, there's nothing not to smile about, right? Even though we're
another
going through things, if you've
it's a
learned that
choice.
it's a choice and not, yeah, but you also feel it. You don't get caught up in all the, it's, oops, I'm losing you here because I'm going to lose my battery. But I did want to say, guys, you can be going through something, but if you don't allow yourself to get swallowed down into it, you can see above it. You can understand all the players. You can understand the whole thing much better than you could if you're down in it, right? Getting
Yes,
all grumpy and upset.
the helicopter view.
Yeah, you gotta get over the trees.
How
I'm
many
gonna have
people?
to. I'm losing you very
Okay.
soon here. Let me
Thank you,
see.
Alena.
But I love
Um,
you. I'm sorry we talked a lot because I had a full battery.
yeah,
Love
I
you
think we've,
all. Whatever the
yes,
light
we
said,
do
follow
love you
because it is
all
pure.
and
Yeah.
love yourself and
Yeah.
love you later.
Yeah.